Welcome everyone. Today we are going to embark on an intriguing journey. We are going to explore the idea of the horror without. The concept of horror that isn't necessarily embodied by men or individuals, but by something that extends beyond our immediate perceptions. Something woven deeply in the fabric of history and civilization itself. We're going to give you some examples of questions that we're going to be asking here. What if everything we have been told about history, about the world, and about reality is not as it seems? What if we are living under an illusion, and much of the horror that we feel around us is the result of us simply not seeing the truth? Let's begin by exposing that illusion, and by doing so, we might come to understand how life is far more intricate, more profound, and more connected than we ever thought. We live in a world where the narrative of history, politics, and life is often crafted for us. This narrative has been shaped and modeled over centuries by systems of power, institutions, and authority. The horror without can be understood as the fear, control, and confusion that are thrust upon us by these systems that obscure the deeper truths about who we are, where we come from, and where we're going. For example, about the education system. We're going to be taught how this education system oppresses our thinking. Now here we go. In education systems, we are taught how to look outward, to perceive the world through the narrow lenses that are placed on us in competition, in fear of the unknown, and in the submission to a system. We are conditioned to see life through the lenses of scarcity and struggle and individuality. The true essence of life, however, is not scarcity but abundance, not competition but cooperation, not fear, definitely not fear, but love. The horror then is not necessarily the evil actions of a few men. It is the illusion that we are separate, that we are divided, and that life is a series of struggles for more power and control. This is the horror that we have lived with for centuries, propagated by the systems that benefit from our disconnection from the deeper truths. When we talk about soul education, we're speaking about a kind of learning that goes beyond traditional schooling. It's about awakening to the deeper dimensions of existence, to the understanding that we are not merely physical beings, but spiritual entities connected to something greater. Soul education is the process of stripping away the layers of the illusion. It is the education of the heart, the mind, and the spirit, through which we come to realize that we are a part of a grander cosmic order and divinity. This form of education is not about memorizing facts or acquiring knowledge for the sake of careers or success or even societal approval. It's about realizing our true nature as conscious, interconnected beings. This education teaches us that the horror without is actually a construction of our own making. We are not merely victims of external forces. The real horror is living without awareness of the divine and the interconnectedness of all life. The real liberation comes when we realize that we are part of something bigger than ourselves. The horror ends when we understand that life is more than it seems. Now, let's turn our attention to the Tartarian Empire, an ancient civilization that has largely been erased from the mainstream historical narratives. The Tartarian Empire, or the Tartaria, was believed to be a vast and a sophisticated civilization that existed across much of Asia, Europe, and even North America in the 16th and the 17th century. Evidence of its existence is found in maps, architecture, and texts, but it has been intentionally obscured by the powers that be. Why? The empire's system of governance, its technologies, and its philosophies were radically different from the hierarchical, control-based structures that emerged in the modern West. The Tartarian civilization did not fit into the narrative of conquest and domination. It was not built on exploitation, but on harmony, cooperation, and sustainable living. This kind of a society possessed a direct threat to the emerging global power structures that sought to control resources, land, and people. As the systems of control, the monarchies, the churches, the rising colonial powers began to establish their dominance, the Tartarian Empire was systematically erased from history. Their advanced technologies, spiritual practices, and social systems were either destroyed or co-opted. This was not an isolated event. It was part of a larger effort to suppress any society that did not conform to the centralized, hierarchical, exploitative models of power that we are familiar with today. The horror without, in this context, is the deliberate